In this video, I raced the Mazda MX5 Rookie Fanatec Cup at Virginia International Raceway, just because I can. Welcome to another race of the week. I haven't done this for a while, but let's go racing, and all from an older gamer's perspective. And here we are at the qualifying lap at the Virginia International Raceway. It's one of the favourite tracks, I think, for most rookies. It's a clean track. It's very challenging, but it's a great race once you get into it. This is T1, the horseshoe bend. You see a lot of casualties here in the rookie races, especially on cold tyres on the first lap. It causes a lot of problems, as does here the NASCAR bend, which is tricky. I mean, it's not impossible to get round, but a few people do lose their tail end coming out of that corner. Before we get into this next left hook, and then we're into the snake, which takes you over a lot of rumble strips, and you kind of have to do this flat out if you want to stay any chance of being relevant in the race, but it's not easy to do that because those rumble strips can cause you to lose control. And then we come into this uphill corner here. There's a natural slowing down as you come around that, but again, it's one that you have to hang on to, and it's easy enough to lose grip and to see the tail end come away. A little bit of lifting as we come through these little S-bends here until we get to probably one of the most challenging parts of this course, which is the roller coaster. It's a set of downhill curves, and braking going downhill, as everybody who does racing will tell you, is a problematic situation to be in. But if you can get around that, if you can get through the hog pen, if you don't lose too much time, you will have a awesome amount of top speed to take you down through this straight and across the line. You should be looking at 1 minute 40 seconds if you want to be on the podium, probably in third place. But if you really want to be at P1 or P2, you should be looking at 1:37, 1:38 as your fastest or your average lap times. And that qualifying lap left me at 5th place, which is not too bad. We've got two very fast drivers at the very front there. You noticed on the grid, we seem to be short of a car. I'm not quite sure whether he joins us later or whether or not that was a connection issue and he bailed out early on. Anyway, here we all are, ready for the off. And we get away to a fairly clean start here. You can see there's not too many problems, although on my left we have that blue and black car, which seems to be completely unaware of my presence on the track. There he goes, right in front of me. I actually braked and let him pass there because I had a bad feeling that he was going to wreck me out of the horseshoe corner, the T1 of this particular track, and I didn't really want to spend the opening lap in the pits. And as we come now around to the NASCAR bend, we start to lose some cars. The blue and black car there spinning off, while over on the left another car goes onto the track. We haven't really got time to think about that because while I was doing avoidance, I lost 2 places in amongst all of that lot. But that's okay because a car spins off and I narrowly avoid it, and I've gained a place. But I can see behind me is car number 8 there in the white. He's hugging my back bumper, and if we switch to the back view, you can see he's a bit too close, so I decide I'm going to let him pass. I've got a premonition this is all going to go badly, and would you believe, yep, up there in the distance, 3 cars wiped themselves out at the uphill corner, and I'm off into the distance enjoying all of that open free track. If we just take a look at that accident, you can see, yep, they take each other out quite nicely, and the white car grabs another couple of 4Xs on the way through and then does a really bad re-entry and takes out yet another car on the way through. He tries to come back on, but somebody bounces yet another car into him and he crashes again. I mean, to me that was like 16x he's up to there, so he's probably only got 1x to go before he gets disqualified. That's a rough start to anybody's race. Meanwhile, I'm coming down the home straight here. I've got 3 cars ahead of me. I'm in 4th place. That's pretty cool. Started on 5th, I'm in 4th. That's better than some races that I've been in. Place 3 is Thomas. Now, he's just ahead of me. He's got about a 2.6 second gap on me. Meanwhile, places 1 and 2 are quite far ahead. They are the fast cars that I talked about, and they will go on to dominate the race. Places 1 and 2 are basically sorted out by lap 2, which is quite disappointing, but hey, I've got the chance at getting a 3rd place if I can just catch Thomas. He's in that green and purple car ahead of me there. I'm closing on him all the time. I think it's not so much because I'm a faster driver than him. I think I am quicker on the corners than he is, and possibly a little more confident on the trail braking than he is, but I think also he's spending a lot of time looking at me in his mirror. And when he's doing that, he's missing his braking points. He's missing all of the cues that he should be using to keep the car safely on the track. And it's costing him time. That's something I used to do all the time. And I try to stop doing that now. I try to focus on the track ahead. If I've got a car behind me that's dangerous, then sure, I'll take notice of him. But if he's just racing me and I think he's competent, then I'll just ignore him and get on with holding my driving line and doing the best lap time I can, while at the same time trying to avoid other cars that are on the track. That's really the only way you should be racing. You see, Thomas, he's gained a few seconds on me there because I didn't do the downhill at this particular track is called the roller coaster. Ends in the bend called the hog pen. It's really difficult. It tends to be the graveyard of many a car in iRacing. And I, in my early rookie career, often would come off there and go skating across the grass. It was very disappointing. I think I've got hold of it now, but still, I do find that corner does cost me more time than everybody else, so I think I've got something more to learn there. But you can see, as I begin to come round these corners, I'm beginning again, slowly, to close the gap between me and Thomas. As we move forward, we're on lap 3 now. He's 2.2 seconds ahead of me. We can forget places 1 and 2. Look, place 1 is 12.5 seconds ahead of me. I'm never going to be catching him. That's going to be impossible, unless they have a crash. You never know. But place 3 is entirely doable. Not only that, the car behind us, Rob, is 6 seconds, and that gives me a lot of space. I don't have to worry about somebody creeping up behind me and dive-bombing me in a corner. I'm fairly safe. I feel I can focus entirely on catching the car in front, and the best way I can do that is running the best lap I can every single time I do it. And this is the roller coaster now that we're coming down. I spoke about a little while ago, and into the hog pen bend. It really is quite a tricky set of corners to do. If you miss it, you'll go across the grass, and that grass is an ice skating ring. You'll slide across there. If you hit the barrier, then it's race over, I'm afraid. We're coming down this straight now towards the horseshoe bend. I can see ahead there a couple of puffs of smoke as Thomas goes round it, which would seem to indicate he locked up. It wasn't really a bad lock up. He's still a few seconds ahead of me. It's not fatal to him, but it seems to have hit his confidence a little bit. And as we head into the next bend, the NASCAR bend, he's even worse on the corner there. He's done these corners before, he's done them better, but he's all over the place now. He's getting really nervous, and this inevitably leads him to spinning out. He manages to recover and brings it back on the track again. I possibly could have swept past him then. It would have been a bit difficult. Possibly could have wrecked us both out. So I chose not to. I feel that I can still safely overtake him at some point in this race, and I don't need to take too many chances with it. But yeah, he did well to control that. It snapped out from underneath him. He got it back in. He managed to stay in the race. So kudos to Thomas for recovering there. That really bad bend that he did. He's coming back into the race now. He seems to have given himself a good talking to. He's trying to race a little bit better, but he is still looking at me in his mirrors. I can tell this because of the way he's driving. And as we come into the roller coaster again, he's wobbling all over the place, and I really feel that he's probably going to spin out. So I'm easing back a little bit here. I'm not on him too much because I don't want to get taken out in whatever happens to him and lose the race completely. We're coming down now on the home straight. Yeah, he's 0.7 seconds ahead of me. That's a gap that I can live with, and it's a gap that I can exploit. I'm pretty sure at some point here I can get past him. I'm racing a quicker race than him. It came up with a 142. He was on a 145 there. 142 is not the quickest I've ever done on this track, but I can usually do it at 139. But I'm following Thomas here, so I'm getting a 142. You can see he had another puff of smoke at that corner there. Another lock-up. And again, he must be nervous. He goes wide on that corner there. Again, I'm easing back. I want to be sure that if he slides off or he loses control, I don't just slam into the side of him. But he is slowing us both down now. We are both now getting much slower laps. And as you can see, Rob behind us has closed that gap. He was 6 seconds behind me, but he's now just 4 seconds. Now this could be a problem for me. If I stay behind Thomas and he continues to be nervous, he continues to slow us both down, then Rob could conceivably catch us both up and try and sneak down the inside of us. And then I'm going to be fighting 2 cars for 3rd place. That's not something I really want to do. So the urgency of getting past Thomas has now increased. Or so I thought. In fact, it wasn't quite as a dire emergency as I had anticipated due to a racing incident that's about to occur right now. Unfortunately for Rob, when he comes round the hog pen corner behind me there, he mistimes it and crashes into the barrier. And that's pretty much him out of the race now. I'm not sure that we see him too much more. Meanwhile, I'm still 1 second behind Thomas, and I'm finding it difficult to close that gap, even with the mistakes he's making. But a little bit of a slide there, a little bit of puff, he's locking up. Again, he's getting nervous. I don't know whether he checked his relative and saw that Thomas or Rob had come off and thought, oh, okay, I can capitalise on this. But yeah, we're coming into this corner now, and he's all over the place until eventually, yep, he slides it enough for me to get past. He does recover again like he did last time, and we almost impact, but I was able to get successfully past him and leave him well behind. He's now 2, 3 seconds, 4 seconds behind me. He was just ahead of me, but he's lost so much confidence now. He's just fading into the distance. And as you can see in the bottom right there, as I come down that straight, you really can only just see him far, far away in the mist. Meanwhile, up at the front there, we've got P1 and P2 here about to go into the roller coaster. We've got Al Jazeera at the back there and Sean at the front. Sean has led for about 5 laps now, but he succumbs to a very cheeky overtake in the roller coaster as they come downhill there. Well, a very skillful piece of driving there by Al Jazeera, who pushes himself onto P1. Sean isn't going to give that up easily, and he's chasing him down the home straight there, probably using a little bit of slipstreaming there to stay relevant in this race as they come down to the horseshoe corner. Now it's a case of who's going to break first, I think, here really, and Sean loses out in that competition. There's a bit of door contact as they come round the corner there, but it's not fatal, which is a shame for me, because if P1 and P2 had wiped themselves out at that point in the race, I probably would have gone on to P1 through their misfortune, which I try not to think about too much. But back in the real world, the real race, I'm still at P3, and Thomas is now 5 seconds behind me. He's been having quite a bit of a nightmare of a race. The confidence that he lost when I overtook him has not come back, and he's just been sliding off all over the place, which is good for me because I'm now coming up on a back marker, a car that is a lap down on me. It's ahead of me there, you can see him. He's not appearing on the relative. I'm using the Race Labs relative here, and there may have been a setting that I didn't quite adjust correctly, so that's why he doesn't appear. But trust me, this car ahead of me is a lap down, and that's a problem to me because he's a slower car than me, and if he slows me down enough, then Thomas might be able to catch me up. He's quite a way behind me, he really is, but you never know. I have in the past found interesting ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. However, in this particular case, the car in front of me is getting a little bit nervous, and he decides to pull over and get out of my way. I think he takes an off track there and ends up in the pits. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe he was having trouble with his car. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't that terrifying at all and he just pulled over. It was a coincidence. It doesn't matter because he's out of my way. I have clean air in front of me, an open track. This race is once again mine to lose. Thomas is woefully behind me there now. He's never going to catch me with this one lap unless I do something stupid, and I'm keen that I don't do that. People ask me why it is that I actually do the rookie races when I now have a C-class license. I can do any of these races, and I think the reason I do it is because it's a great race to just drop in and out of. You don't really need to do too much preparation. The tracks are well known to all rookies. They've done them over and over again, and the whole contest, even including the qualifying, is half an hour at the most. So if you don't have much time in your day, you're just looking for a quick race and you want to be guaranteed to get a lot of splits with a lot of drivers in it, then the rookie races is where it's at. Yes, it can be sometimes a bit eclectic in the driver quality, by which I mean that you can end up with rookies that have no idea what they're doing and they will re-enter a track and cause huge disasters, or they will just crash you out, or they've no idea where their brake pedal is, and you will have a minority, and I stress this, a minority of A and B class drivers who are a little bit entitled, come across that way, and when they're behind you, if you have a lower class license than them, they will just want you to get out of their way, which I think isn't really on. If you've got the pace and you can overtake me, then do so. Don't expect me to lift or get out your way just because your license is higher than mine. And here we are now. We're coming round on the final stretch, the final corner, as we come in to a third place, lap 9. I'm pleased with that. The little counter there from Race Labs is telling me that I'm going to get at least 76 iRating gain from this. We'll see. That's an estimate. I'm not sure if that's going to be correct or not. But I'm pleased, anyway, to get a third place. It was an interesting race against Thomas, and I really enjoyed the chance to race against a quality driver like him. This was split number 11 of 15 splits at that particular race time. It had a strength of field of 1,175, which is not massive. I mean, it's okay, but I can imagine it was a lot less chaotic than split number 15 with a strength of field of 459. I can remember racing in those before, and that can be quite different to what you become used to when you move up the racing split level. So on to the results there. Yes, I got a third place, which I'm really happy with. It gave me an extra 60 iRacing points. So that was a lot less points for me than Race Labs thought I was going to get. I think they thought I was going to get like 70 odd or something like that. But still, plus 60 is nice. And I also got a increase in the safety rating, which went up a little bit as well, which is always nice because that's been taking a bit of a hit lately during my racing times. I was doing an average lap there of 142, which is not hugely fast, but I was also being a little bit cautious when I was behind Thomas there because I didn't want to collide with him when he was doing his sliding thing. And my best lap was 139, which was way behind the two leaders there who were both on 136. They really were flying around the track. Al Jandero apparently has only been racing for a couple of days on iRacing, so unless he is like super talented, I would imagine that he's got some experience at another sim, who knows. But he did really well, and it was a well-deserved win for him, and also a well-deserved second place for Sean. Thomas managed to keep it together to come in on a fourth place there, which I was pleased about because I thought he raced really well and he didn't deserve to have a disqualification or a DNF. At the very least, not a DNF. And all of the other drivers, we can see some of them disconnected, some of them I think got disqualified. Here's a selection of the crashes for you to be entertained in. As you can see, there was a lot of that sort of thing going on in this race, but still, when you consider that there were 4 C-class drivers in there and 2 D-class drivers, that it was a clean race. It was reasonably good. and there wasn't too much drama. At least there wasn't too many people shouting at each other on the tracks. And that's as much as you can hope for with iRacing, isn't it? That it's a clean race with not too much drama and nobody shouts at you over the radio. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed racing against Thomas. I enjoyed my third place and I enjoyed keeping it on the track. So until next time, race clean and I'll see you on track. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Click the little bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos.